Welcome back. Still on the protests in Nigeria, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has assessed the nationwide protest. The IGP confirmed that one policeman was killed and many others injured in Thursday's rally, while the police has ordered all its officers to be on red alert to quell any violence.
It is with grave sense of responsibility that I address you this evening. You will recall that upon several indications by various groups of their intent to commence a nationwide protest on 1st August 2024, we rolled out several warnings based on actionable intelligence at our disposal, indicating that some groups were mobilizing for violent protest, while some groups claiming to be mobilizing for peaceful protest were doing so with violent undertones, refusing to cooperate with the police on measures to be taken to guarantee peaceful protest. On the basis of this intelligence, the police advised that the protest should be shelved at this instant. Where the organizers insisted on going on with the protest, they were advised to stage the protest in confined locations. This will have enabled the police provide adequate protection for the protesters and isolate the criminals whose intention was to loot and destroy in the name of a protest. This we were doing in furtherance of our duty to protect lives and property and maintaining law and order. While we affirm the constitutional rights of citizens to assemble and express their views on issues of national importance, we were wary about the dangers posed by agitation instigated by some individuals who have shown tendencies to be disloyal to the government of the day. Despite our suspicions, we showed good faith through professional conduct by providing security at strategic locations, all aimed at ensuring peaceful conduct during the protest, as the promoters pledged. Our men, deployed nationwide, went out with a clear brief to ensure that no one is unnecessarily harassed or intimidated. In places where there were court orders, we gave instructions for observance of same. Regrettably, events in some major cities today show that what was being instigated was mass uprising and looting, not protest. Those who were in the forefront of promoting the idea of the protest were not around to lead it. Hoodlums have been let loose on innocent Nigerians and their hard-earned businesses and property looted and destroyed. The motive of the rioters was basically two: loot and destroy both private and government property. The destruction so far has been mind-boggling. There has been destruction in Kano, Borno, Yobe, Kaduna, Gombe, Bauchi, FCT Abuja, Niger, and Jigawa. Police stations have been destroyed. There have been attempts to take over government houses, looting of government infrastructures. Several warehouses and shops so far have been looted and in several instances completely destroyed. In spite of the refusal of the protesters, for instance in FCT, to adhere to a court order requesting that protests in Abuja should be at the National Stadium, they trooped into the streets, and yet the police provided security for them. At no point did we breach their fundamental rights, even as they breached court orders. In places like FCT, Kaduna, Kano, and Gombe, among others, we recorded incidents of unprovoked attacks on our security personnel, where one policeman has been reported murdered and others seriously injured. We alerted earlier that terror elements may take advantage of the protest to infiltrate the crowd of protesters with suicide bombers. Yesterday in Lagos, our EOD team was informed of a suspected IED on Bakatoni Way, Ikeja. The team responded swiftly and rendered safe what turned out to be an improvised explosive device, IED. Today in Borno State, we recorded another incident of explosion, which occurred in the crowd of protesters, killing 4 instantly and severely injuring 34 others, many of whom are presently on danger list. We wish to advise law-abiding citizens of Nigeria to heed and not dismiss warnings given by the police and other security agencies which were based on credible and actionable security intelligence. In the light of the current situation, the Nigerian Police Force has placed all units on red alert. Our officers are fully mobilized and prepared to respond swiftly and decisively to any further threats to public safety and order. We remain committed and resolute to protecting lives and property and ensuring that law and order are maintained across the nation. Groups who are hiding under the guise of exercise of a right provided in the Constitution to destabilize the country should also remember that the same Constitution imposed on them the duty to obey the laws of the land and respect the rights of other citizens. The police is equipped to respond appropriately to the unfolding situations and will get assistance from other security agencies, including the military, if the need arises. We appeal to all citizens to remain calm and cooperate with the police and other security agencies during this challenging period. Your safety is our top priority, and we will continue to take all necessary measures to ensure continued peace and stability in our country.
IGP Kayode Egbetokun there. Well, joining us now, RISE analyst Dr. Sam Amadi, also protester and public affairs commentator, joining us from our offsite studio, Barry Votu. Thank you, both of you gentlemen, for joining us on a day like this. Dr. Sam Amadi, let me start with you. I mean, let's get your general assessment and maybe your response to what the Inspector General of Police said there, that the key motives of those who went out to protest really was to cause mayhem and uprising in the nation. And of course, he talked about the conduct of the police.
Well, first, let me say, I think that the protests, according to the intention of the organizers, was significant in terms of activities across the country, in the north, in Lagos, in FCT. Two major centers of protests will be Lagos and FCT. And we saw a significant event. In the southeast, maybe less so. But generally, I think if the purpose was to express this disaffection with public policy, that was successful. Again, we saw regrettable incidents of violence. We've heard about, maybe by the last count, about reportedly 11 persons may have been killed, including a police officer, as the IG admitted. Again, part of that, those avoidable instances, maybe police trying to disperse the protesters, and maybe protesters who went off direction, and the police probably used precipitate, deadly force. So regrettable outcome. Again, if you understand protests in a country, people are bitter and angry. And by the way, once you have a protest and people are free to join, then it's not totally in the control of the organizers in terms of maybe what splitter groups people go and do beside the part. And this is where I now come to the IG. The notion of guiding protests. First, you can't tell people to protest in a particular way. It's not a rally. I mean, go to the stadium. There's a difference between a protest and a rally. Is different. A protest requires people move around. But then you can chart where they can go. You can help them to draw a path, and then you police where they're going. We see that all over the world. So people who have earmarked direction, maybe from stadium to Eagle Square. And so the police will be there to ensure that nobody kind of does anything that's criminal or violent. Again, we want to see protests where police will arrest people. You can arrest disorderly protesters and take them into custody, in which case they face trial. There are many cases, codes in the criminal code, in the laws of the land, for which people can be prosecuted for violence, for looting. So what we see is always about shooting people dead. That's really not the way you should manage protests. So yes, the police has a responsibility to ensure that protesters do not break the law. But the police has no responsibility or duty to impose on protesters where they should protest.
But it was based on a court
well,
order.
we'll come to that.
Yeah.
I mean, the court order really, as I can say that as an expert in constitutional law, I can say clearly that you just, I've not seen any order in the world where you say protest in spot A. Order can say, do not protest here. For example, the government has legitimate interest to say, don't go to the villa. So they could bring an order and say, because of security issue, we want prohibition around this. But you can't tell people. I mean, protest is like, protest is simply like an expression of disgust or disagreement. You can't tell people, go to this spot and protest. That's not a valid legal order in my sense. Right. I mean, you should tell them, don't go here. You can restrict freedom of movement, expression, and association, but you cannot determine the spot where people should. Somebody can carry one flag in his office. That's a protest. Just as on this studio, somebody can protest by expressing disgust. So I think probably the next time the IG should be more strategic and map out how they're going to allow protesters express themselves, but not undermine public peace.
Okay, let's bring in Barry. Barry, you are out there. And first, let's get a sense of how it went for you from your eye.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I would like to tell the world that for us, I'd like to start by saying the activities of the IG, I mean the police, running the influence of escorting people in protest. For now, it's clear that they are not being professional at all, because I saw a protest that had the police running canisters on protesters that have not, protesters who are not harmful, protesters who don't have equipment like weapons. Nothing happened. So people who told the world they're coming to protest peacefully, why do you have to shoot canisters? And we have a lot of people who got injured. We have a lot of people who regretted ever coming out. This is our country, for God's sake. The country people say they don't like what is going on. They say they don't like the policies of the government. And we are in a democracy. So what exactly does it mean for the police to be ordered to shoot at us? We are peaceful protesters. So practically, for me, I think this is a chicanery attitude by the Nigerian police. And I think anyone who has been killed today and anyone who has been injured today, I think the Inspector General of Police, the Commissioner of Police should be held responsible, because we came out as peaceful Nigerian protesters who are asking for good governance, quality leadership, and the respect for the rule of law. None in the protesting procession carried any weapon of destruction or accosting anyone. So why should you start putting tear gas? Right, personally to me, this is the first time I am being tear gassed. I fainted. Look at me, I'm peaceful. The protesters are peaceful. It's not about any political party. It's not about any individual. It's about the influence of hunger that this administration has muted on Nigerians. This is an administration that do not have ears to listen to the yearnings of the people. For example, a government who understands governance and democracy must know that the voice of the people must count at all time. What will be a difference for the president of Nigeria at this moment to address the Nigerian people? These young people who are protesting have a list running on almost the different internet social media platforms. Are you telling me that you are so deaf and so blind to read through, to look for decisions that can...
Hello. We have to be very careful with our words, with our language.
Yes.
You know, we're civil people. I
That's
think
right.
you'll have to take that back. You can't refer to anyone saying deaf or blind.
Well, it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's take it back.
Great.
It's okay.
Great.
Let's take it back.
Thank you for making it so civil, and thanks for your time. Let me bring it back to Dr. Sam here.
Okay.
Dr. Sam, you know, you were trying to enlighten us about, you know, perhaps some of the key concerns which you raised. And you're listening to Avotu Barry there, you would also hear him say, at a point in time, the protesters were civil and about their protest until that chaotic scene of firing canisters of tear gas. Help us, make sense of how this can be curtailed in the future. Are there ways the police would have handled this, better?
Well, I've been part of protests as student leader and so on and so forth, as nurse leader, as an activist. Always, that's the first mentality is that the police needs a DNA rewiring to understand that they're not regime protection. They are to protect the people and the country as a whole. So what that means is simple. A protest might be an embarrassment to government, but it's not a criminal or lawless action. So the fixation on stopping protests is a problem. And so let's take, for example, why do you want to stop protesters, shoot canister to disperse protests? Protest is not unlawful. Protest, the police job, if the police gets the real orientation to say, our job is to make sure that if these guys are marching through Ahmadu Bello Way, nobody enters into a store, nobody enters into a public building. And the police will line them up. Let me give an example. When NLC had that protest, which I was part of, the police were in front, leading. We went to National Assembly, the address people came out. And we said that was a very good professional policing. So you don't need to, first, the IG should make it clear. Once people want to protest unlawfully, the police job is not to disperse them, shooting canisters. The police job is to ensure that the protest is peaceful. So, and that's the problem here. Because every protest is actually a vote of no confidence in government. So you see government officials walked up to stop a protest. Not because it's, and in that effort to stop a protest, you bring counter-protesters, you entrench violence, and then you make it violent. So I think that they should sit back and say, look, protest is a right. By the way, before this protest, there were pro-no protest group. It's a right to come and say, we are protesting in support of government. Yeah. Today, I saw people wearing colorful yellow T-shirts. Yeah. And they spoke good English. And they are protesting in support of government. So why is this fixation around stopping those who are protesting against government? The key point here, and that changes the game, once the idea is peaceful, okay, look at the Minister of FCT. First he says, you can't protest here. Now he says, thank you for being peaceful. This is what the chef said earlier. And if I was the Minister of FCT,
for dialogue.
Exactly, I would have been in that protest. I would come there, address them, and then shepherd them away from violence. That's really the change in mentality, that protest is a right. It's a simple part of democracy. In fact, democracy is a protest. It's about voice. Absolutely. People protest when they think that the voice has been excluded. So it can be by writing, it can be by gesture, it can be street walk or vote with their feet. So that's not illegality. That's the change. Apparently
what you're saying, the optics are not good for growing democratic culture. Let me come back to you, Barry Avotu. I mean, police says it's on red alert to quell any further protests. Based on your experiences, today, wouldn't you say that the point really, the message has been driven home to the government in a way that will, say to you guys, you protesters, look, okay, let's stop it here now. We have made our point instead of going all the way to 10 days of rage, as you have tagged this protest?
Well, I'll tell you that that's not going to be so. We have tagged this protest a 15-day protest, and this is just day one, and we are not satisfied with what we saw in the first day. And we are using this opportunity to tell the world, to tell the president, to tell anyone who cares to answer, we are going to continue to remain peaceful, and this protest remains continual. Tomorrow is day 2, and we're going to come out more than what they saw today. Today is just a test run. Like you saw, some states didn't come out because we want to see the body language of the administration. And it means that tomorrow they will see double of the crowd that came out today, until this administration, until the president of Nigeria address the youth, address the people, and tell us that, and tell us what he wants to do, and tell us why he must do it, because we have given this request to the president that he's supposed to be the father of Nigeria. He must listen to the voice of the Nigerian people. We will not stop this protest until the president addresses the issues we've listed on ground. That is what we're saying. Nigeria belongs to all of us. We are going to be peaceful, and we want to continue to preach the gospel that no Nigerian is more Nigerian than any Nigerian. Whatever protest they have seen today is the beginning of the biggest of all, until this administration speaks to us and gets the ball rolling in answering the issues that we have put on the list.
Well, I think it looks like a good place for us to anchor this. I'd like to thank you for your time, Barry Avotu and Dr. Sam Amadi. Many thanks, gentlemen, for coming on this.